This presentation was made possible thanks in part to a grant from the Bama Works Fund of Dave Matthews Band in the Charlottesville Area Community Foundation. To learn more, visit cacfonline.org.
From the studios of WHTJ on the Downtown Mall, I'm Terry Allard, and this is Charlottesville Inside Out. After over 40 interviews with fascinating people from all around the community, now it's my turn to tell you about something I'm involved in. Kid Pan Alley is a program that inspires school children to write and perform songs that have meaning to them on so many levels. It's all about the kids. Since I'm involved in Kid Pan Alley, when I interview Paul Reisler, the founder, today, I'll ask the questions that you would want to ask, even if I already know the answers. Let's go find Paul and write a song. Come on. Paul, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thanks, Terry.
So we always start out with the question, what is your Charlottesville story?
Well, my Charlottesville story is actually more about you. Because we've been doing Kid Pan Alley now for about eight or 9 years all over the country. And I had asked you to come help me at a residency down in Tye River, which is down in Nelson County. You came down and helped, and you just were so amazing that I kept asking you back. And
oh, yeah.
the next thing we know is you decided this needed to be in Charlottesville, and you went and organized the Charlottesville project. We were in 8 schools last year, and it was all thanks to you.
Well, thank you. But also, your Charlottesville story is Trapezoid.
Yes.
You are the founder of the group Trapezoid, yeah. And Charlottesville has always loved that group.
Well, and several of our members lived here in Charlottesville, so we've always been, yes, really connected to Charlottesville. And Charlottesville's a great place to do Kid Pan Alley, yeah. Because it's not a huge city. It's a small enough city where people care about community and care about working together, and yet it has great musical artists that you can draw from. So it's really the ideal combination here.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. So tell everybody, what is Kid Pan Alley? How did it get started?
Well, Kid Pan Alley got started, like most good things, by accident. A friend of mine had asked me to do a 3-week residency in our local school, in our local elementary school. I live in Rappahannock County, so there's only one elementary school. And I ended up working with about all 600 kids in the county. We wrote about 80 songs. And it was one of these funny things where I walked in and I had all these plans on what I was going to do with the kids. And within about 3 minutes, I'd thrown those plans away because it was totally going in a different direction. And what I learned was that there is no plan. You go in and you be in the moment and listen to what the kids have to say, and then you're just nudging them and guiding them along the way. So what Kid Pan Alley does is we walk into a classroom of often screaming kids, and in 2 45-minute sessions, we write a song.
And now the first day, when you first go in and you first work with a class, tell us what happens.
Well, we go in and I tell them a little bit about Kid Pan Alley, not very much, and then say, what do you want to write about today? And they'll come up with ideas, everything from, the usual for second graders is something to do with chickens. But they keep coming up with, but then we get 20 or 30 ideas on the board, and some of the ideas have a lot of depth. And then we'll vote on it, and I'll say, okay, everybody pick out 2 and close your eyes and raise your hands when you hear the one you want to vote for called out. And generally I find we end up with really interesting topics and things that we can really work with and things that we can turn around from what you might normally expect. Like what you might normally do writing a song that has this word in it, and instead it always ends up going someplace unusual and different, and because of that it's always very much an adventure and exciting to be part of that.
So the children have come up with their ideas, they voted on an idea, and they know what they want to write about. How do you get a song out of that?
Well, we start from whatever that idea was, and we start brainstorming and writing things up on a pad of paper. And so we'll do 15 minutes of brainstorming, getting ideas up there, getting things and bouncing them off of each other. And when we start to see that there's enough up there, that there's a song's worth of ideas up there, I'll tell them, well, what do you want to have for the first line? The first line needs to be interesting. It needs to grab people's attention. And we'll come up with the first line, and then we'll just go from there, putting it together, and we'll write one section. And then I asked the kids to come up with the melodies. When I first did this, I always made up all the melodies and music. I didn't think that there was a way to get it out of the kids, because they don't have that much musical experience or that much musical vocabulary. And then I found that if I just had them read, go ahead and read the first line, read it a couple of times, and then they'll read it, and I say, well, can you sing that? And they'll jump in and they'll sing something, and then I'll find what key that's in my guitar and play some chords behind it, and the next thing you know, we have the first line of the melody or the motive. And we just work from there, and we'll sing that line, and then the next, say, who wants to sing the next line when we get around to it? And all of a sudden we have music created by the kids for the song.
So, Paul, you've been teaching adult songwriters for years.
Yes.
What is it like to work with kids?
Well, I think the great thing about working with kids is actually that the ideas never stop. When you're doing when you're co-writing with an adult, or when you're teaching them, they have to get into the kids' they have to get into a mind that's more like a kid, where they're discovering where they don't already know. And so it's been really fascinating with the kids, because it's just one nonstop idea after another, and we're struggling to write it on the board and catch up as quickly as we can, and they keep coming out with this thing. So it's a very different thing than writing with an adult. Also, it's been really interesting, this Brownsville residency, because we did our first intergenerational Kid Pan Alley residency as part of this week, where we worked with the Jefferson Area Board on Aging and brought down some seniors from the Mountainside home in Crozet who told stories to the kids about what it was like to grow up here 80 years ago and what their life was like. And of course, for the kids, it was amazing to hear that. There was one 100-year-old gentleman there who spoke about what it was like growing up around the turn of the 20th century. And so we wrote three songs with the kids here about it, but we also took the kids up to Mountainside, and they told the seniors stories about, well, what their experience was living in Crozet now, and we wrote a song with the seniors about it. And of course, it was a little harder to get the seniors to come out with ideas, and it's really interesting how the kids they're right there.
They're right there in the moment, as you said.
And yet our song with the seniors turned out great too, because all of their experience and all of their life experience went into informing the song.
Right. So you and I have been working all week with the kids at Brownsville. Let's take a look at a clip of one of their performances.
Oh, that'll be fun.
That'd be great. Let's show what they can do.
Okay.
Another best friend, you know that's not really fair.
in most residencies, it's a 5-day residency, and the children perform their songs, and they have access to a CD of all the kids singing all the songs. But sometimes there is a project that takes it a little bit further in Nashville and in Charlottesville. Tell us about that.
Right. When we're doing long-term projects in the city, we'll often do a CD using the professional artists of the community singing the songs. And the idea is that we do it on the highest production level, so that when the kids hear their song, it's not, oh, that's cute, Jimmy, for a 4th grader, but wow, that sounds better than anything I've heard on the radio. So here in Charlottesville, we had a bunch of wonderful artists to draw from. We ended up with Sissy Spacek, Corey Harris, Cracker, John McCutcheon, Trees on Fire, Sparky's Flaw. That's an enormous list of world-class artists singing songs written by 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders. And when the kids hear those and hear it on the CD and hear it on the radio, it really gives them this sense that they have done something of real value, that they've done something as good as anything that's out there. And I love that part about it. I love seeing the kids be that excited about that. So now we have this new CD that's out, and we had a big album release concert. We actually had 2 concerts at the Paramount Theater, where we were joined by a lot of the kids and by a lot of the artists who were on the album. And we had the Charlottesville High School Orchestra performing with us. And it was just an amazing, amazing time and an amazing evening of music.
Now, what is next? What is going to happen next for Kid Pan Alley here in Charlottesville?
Well, we have a number of residencies throughout the year that will be happening in different schools around the community. Also, you and I are performing at First Night this year
with Kid Pan
Alley. So we'll hope to see people at those.
That's exciting. That's all great. Well, Paul, thank you so much for coming and sharing the Kid Pan Alley story with all of our viewers.
Well, thank you, Terry, and thank you for, you're a big reason why Kid Pan Alley happens and works, and I feel I have a real partner in you, so thank you for that.
Thank you. Paul Reisler is the founder of Kid Pan Alley. Thank you again, Paul.
Thank you, Terry.